welcome to the March 8th, 2022 meeting of the Manchester Town Council. Good evening, welcome to the, can you guys hear me now? Welcome to the March 8th, 2022 meeting of the Manchester Town Council. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. First order of business, work through our agenda. Here's copies of the agenda out in the hallway. You can follow along. Approval of February 9th minutes. Everybody should have a copy. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Make a motion we approve the February 9th minutes as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Receipt of the January 2022 Treasurer's Report. We did the check register last month. Do we have a motion to receive that Treasurer's Report?
I'll make a motion we receive the January 2022 Treasurer's Report.
I'll second it.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then finally, check register for 2022 February. Have a motion to receive that check register.
I'll make a motion that we receive the February 2022 check register.
I'll second that.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mayor's report. We have a couple items here. Yard waste pickup will begin Wednesday, April 6th. Coming out of winter here, so we'll be picking up yard waste on Wednesdays through November. As a reminder, yard waste consists of grass clippings, leaves, small branches, not to exceed 3 feet and are 4 inches diameter. Please bundle in armful loads. Don't mix with mulch, dirt, trash, pet waste, that sort of thing. It allows our guys to get around and get to it. Should be in a large paper bag, craft paper bag, or a container to be dumped. No plastic bags. We can't mix the plastic bags with the yard waste. We are in the middle of budget season, so that will continue. March 23rd here at 7 p.m. we have our next budget work session. Water bills, it's water bill time again. Already will be mailed April 1st and due April 30th. Brush pickup, which are some of the larger items, not general, just smaller yard waste, is April 19th. That's a pile that can't exceed 4 feet in height, 4 feet in width, 8 feet in length. Please face them all the same way. So again, to help us with the pickup. Bulk trash is the following day, April 20th. You have to call Hughes Trash Removal. So again, Hughes will pick that stuff up. I can't believe we're getting towards the end of the school year already. So the Charlotte Collette Memorial Scholarship applications are due by May 1st. Pick up an application at the guidance office or here at Town Hall. Do we have those online too on the website? Or okay, we should have those available electronically as well, so you don't have to come in for a hard copy. But definitely encourage graduating seniors here to apply for that. One final item. We have Mr. Dave Reese here is joining us. He would like to introduce himself. Rather than make you wait for the end of the meeting, we'll allow you to come up and introduce yourself for a minute or two. And if you don't mind coming up to the microphone, yeah. Even if I lean back from the microphone here, you can't hear, so that nobody will hear you back there.
Okay, I talk pretty loud too, so. Hello, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Dave Reese. I'm a candidate for County Commissioner in District 2. A little bit about myself. I live in Hampstead. I've lived in Hampstead for 48 years now, almost all my life here in Carroll County. I retired from the county government. I retired as Deputy Director of Public Works. I was in charge of 5 bureaus, which is roads, engineering, solid waste, transit, and fleet, and very proud of the accomplishments that I've made there. I'm running for County Commissioner because I've touched a lot of people's lives in Carroll County, and I want to continue to help people out in Carroll County with all my experience and knowledge. No disrespect to any of the commissioners, but all 5 commissioners, or any of the commissioners ever walked into the office, has never known what a county budget looked like, didn't know what any departments did, or any of the people who they were. That's where I differ, because I've worked there for over 34 years now. Currently, I work for the Sheriff's Department. I am Sheriff DeWeese's quartermaster, so I order all his tactical gear, supplies, and equipment. I deliver that. So that has given me an insight of the detention center, the police force, and also the court systems. And the reason I'm up here tonight is I'm in District 2. District 2 right now is Hampstead, Finksburg, and Gamber. But as you know, at the redistricting, it happens every 10 years, and it just happened this year. Of course, right now it's in litigation down in legislation, but it is going to happen. So when they redistrict, our District 2 will be Hampstead, Finksburg, Manchester, Lineborough, and Melrose. So I'm up here meeting a lot of people. I know a lot of people from Carroll County. I've been here, I live here, I work here, I play here, and I want to continue to do good for the public. So I want to thank everybody for letting me be here, and if you don't mind, I'll stick around to listen in. All right?
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, well, with that, we'll move into the Public Works report. Rodney.
Good evening.
Oh, Rodney, I'm sorry. Well, we'll start with the town administrator. I'm getting ahead of myself, and
I haven't left yet. I'm still here. So, but anyway. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and
I'm
Council,
sorry.
members of the community. You have in front of you the February 2022 administrative report. Under pending items are cybersecurity evaluation assessment. The project is moving forward. Our town staff and our IT vendor meet on a bi-weekly basis, and we should have the final report back sometime by the end of April. The joint use agreement with the North Carroll Rec Council, that's still under review, so any comments that you may have, bring them back to me. This is something I want to spend a little bit of time on. The Carroll County government and the municipalities are going to partner together. Carroll County has some funds left over from the ARPA money, and they sent out to the municipalities where it would be a 50% match through the ARPA money or the fiscal recovery funds. So I'll give you a little bit of update. This information has to be back to the county by this Friday. So our priority number one is the town portion of our ENR upgrade, which is probably going to be about $5 million. Our second priority will be the water main replacement that we currently have out on the street for bid. This includes the New Street, High Street, Works Avenue, and the Grafton Street water main loop. Priority 3 will be the York Street water tank rehab, and priority 4 will be the water meter replacement program. So those are 4 big ticket items. We'll see, how this shakes out through the county, and more to follow. So, under code enforcement and zoning, you have in front of you the monthly code enforcement update. We did have a meeting on March 3rd with our town attorney, and we discussed the outstanding code enforcement issues we have on various properties. One property in particular, I just found out about this today, is the laundromat on Main Street. Currently, that is listed on the market for sale. So that's apparently the owner of the laundromat doesn't want to fix it up, and he put it on the market. So chapters 81 and 122, the update on that. We're looking into repealing chapter 81, the disorderly house nuisances, and combining it with chapter 122. That's 2 large chapters which are going to make one when we're finished. The town attorney has supplied our staff a draft, and we're still in the process of reviewing that. So hopefully we'll have something back to you by the April meeting on that. Nothing happening on the Lippy Old Town property. Equine Meadows. Staff did meet with the owner's rep and their design firm on March the 2nd. Again, we discussed the stormwater management issues, and there has been a work session scheduled for March 21st to discuss the stormwater management issues we have on that site. So feel free to join us if you would like. I believe, Chris, that's at 7 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. So, under miscellaneous items, this is something that's on the agenda tonight. We have the North Carroll Rec Council football program here tonight to discuss making improvements to the football field to accommodate both home and visitor spectator areas. Also, our town attorney is reviewing our revised substance abuse policy. It's in his hands for review. And I'd like to get the mayor and council's opinion on something, and that is making our town parks and recreation facilities smoke, tobacco, and vape free. Before I send this over to our attorney to officially put it in as a draft, I'd like the opinion of the mayor and council on this to make those moves. So I think it would be a good move. I think it would be healthy for our community, and I just would like your feelings on that. So that's it. That's all I have. Questions, comments for me?
By making it vape free, is there a penalty if there's somebody caught vaping, or or just calling it vape free?
I think at the end of that chapter, there are penalties that are associated with a fine. Probably what would happen, and I can't speak for the officers, but I think the officers, if they were told about a problem, they would probably first warn them, and then if they continued to do it, there would be a fine associated with that, which is part of that park and recreation chapter that we have.
Fines would start happening if we came across recidivists. If they're not going to, obey our request, then we'll start fining.
Okay.
If that happens, it goes on a civil citation, the law is quoted, we take a page of the law, and then they go to court and they testify. And that's how that goes down.
Have we, or could we, maybe just, rather than having our attorney try to recreate the wheel here, see if there's some best practices out there through MML of what's worked other places, or, draft language.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it. I know that there's parks around the county that have signs up that says, like, healthy lungs at play, smoke-free environment. I brought it up a few years ago at a budget meeting about liking the idea, so I'm in favor of it.
We do get the complaints back here, especially around the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I don't really have a strong opinion at this point around the specifics of it. I mean, in general, I think it's a good move. But whether we, exactly how we label it and what the details are, I think, we should probably discuss a little bit. If it's tobacco free, does that mean like somebody would dip in their pocket or something, like, versus, sitting around smoking and, I know 10 years ago, we used to have issues like the whole football field or baseball field would smell like smoke from, I don't know if it's still that way or not.
Okay, so I think the consensus is to move forward. I'll have our attorney, and we'll do some research on that and go from there. It's a very simple change in our code that we can add that in there, so we'll do some checking on it. Very good.
So my question, Steve, was 81 and 122. Are you looking at, is this more of a bringing, say, clarifications and simplification rather than substantive changes
Yes.
to what's being?
Yes, all of the above. What happens is, we might have a nuisance house, which includes nuisances, and basically we're citing both of the chapters, and I said, this is ridiculous. Why can't we combine both of them into one chapter, and then we're covered? And then all we have to do before if we have to cite someone, we go back to one chapter, and it's right there, 122, and we're good to go.
Gotcha.
Just simplicity, that's the main thing. So.
Anything else for Steve?
Very good, thank you.
All right, Ron, it's really your turn now.
Okay, thanks. Good evening. Please see the water and wastewater data report for February 2022. Also for Public Works, the antenna modifications at the York Tower. T-Mobile's work finished up last month. AT&T modifications are tentatively to begin in May. I'd like to welcome Dennis Mancha Jr. to our DPW crew. He was our most recent hire, and he started February 14th, and he's fitted in very well. For water, the Del Well interior piping rehab project, I have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for this Thursday, and the work will begin soon after. This was awarded in August. Outside contractor, First Class Mechanical, and our town staff will be doing interior work in conjunction with them. The Manchester Waterline replacement project, this is the Wirtz, New Street, Grafton, Oak Street areas. Currently, it's advertised for proposals as of February 22nd. I'm having a pre-bid meeting. This is scheduled for this coming Friday. Tentatively an early spring project, as long as they can get materials for that project. Our engineering firm for this is Carroll Services Incorporated. Wastewater, the treatment plant ENR upgrade, optional expansion, preliminary engineering report. The final draft is expected this Friday, and we have a review meeting scheduled for March 14th with our town staff and our engineer, CDM Smith. And additionally, CDM Smith plans on presenting the PER draft to the town council at our April meeting. The Manchester Farms Water and Wastewater standby standby emergency generator replacement installation is still expected for late April, and this is an outside contractor, Urban Francis. Parks Maintenance and Facilities, the Monroe Street and Grafton Street Stormwater Management Outfall projects were completed last month. Stanballs did a very good job. This was awarded in August. The Christmas Tree Park ADA sidewalk project waited on a start date from the contractor. This was awarded in February, and the contractor is Stanley D. Groves Incorporated. And lastly, winter weather events. We had 2 weather events in February. One was the 13th, a snow event, and one was the 14th, a snow and ice event. And that's all I have. Any questions on my report? And I have no action items, Mrs. Howe. Any questions?
Any questions for Rodney? Just taking a quick peek at the well depths, Rodney, is that, doesn't look to be anything concerning on it. We're at the time of year where the gallons pump starts creeping up again if we're not getting.
They vary from well to well because they alternate
Yeah.
through the month.
Any questions for Public Works? No? All right. Moving right along, police report, chief.
Sir, quick report. Month of February, we handled 125 calls for service. We're still continuing to run out of town to assist Hampstead and the sheriff's department as they do us. We average about 20 a month. 0 Part 1 crimes again. Our crime only consisted of a minor assault, which is cleared. Traffic enforcement still continues to be a big deal. We've issued 719 citations and warnings. And we're still having a stop sign issue.
Over what time period?
That's for 1 month.
That's about
709
double.
Citations?
citations.
That's close to
and
double.
warnings.
In 1 month.
That's repair orders, warnings, and
Okay.
citations.
Got it.
And I can tell you the warnings greatly outweigh the citations.
Yeah.
It's not even close. We're trying to give people a break, but it's getting to the point now where they're not even 3-second stops. They're just certain areas, they're just rolling through the stop signs. And it's our residents.
So of those 700 and change, you mentioned, repair orders, obviously speeding and stop signs, any rough idea on the breakdown? I know that probably depends on where you sit too.
I think it's 80 citations. Maybe 100 then.
Well,
tops.
in terms of the type of infraction,
Speeding,
mostly speeding.
yep, suspended license, DUI, stop signs,
It continues to be in the neighborhoods and mostly
Yes.
residents.
certain intersections, yep. When you get up around the Manchester Farms community, you got the one right there at Southwest. You got Bachman, you have the one right there on,
Michelle and Millie Way, I
Michelle
watched
Miller.
them.
I mean, they're just, I
Like a
can't even call them
caution
rolling
sign.
stops. So it's, we're gonna crack down on it. We're trying to give the warnings, we're trying to communicate to people, we're trying to be nice about it, but it's getting a little ridiculous.
In terms of, and we've all seen it, anyone that lives in town has seen it. How many are you seeing, like, cause there's, somewhat of a difference, you said, like, I get down to 5 miles an hour, 3 mile an hour, and then they go again versus, it gets dark and someone's just, double the speed limit without even going through.
So I would say probably between the hours of 4 and 8, they're just blowing through. And if it's a bit of a straightaway, like Michelle, or if you go from Holland across Bachman towards Westminster,
Yeah.
straight through.
Gotcha.
So we're definitely gonna crack down. We tried to last night, but we got a little inundated with calls.
Yeah.
And a couple other issues. Hey, life would be good in the town. I mean, we got the lowest crime rate in the county. It's all good. We just gotta get the stop signs on it. Overdose numbers, when you compare February of 22 to February of 21, county's reporting about a 43% decrease, which is a positive. Total last year was 51. So, I mean, when you look at February alone last year, it was 47. So they're good numbers. It's actually heading in the right direction. Fatalities are 9 versus 16 in comparison to last year. So at least now at this point, we're starting to see the overdose numbers decrease. I just hope it continues. We had one in town. It was a kid that was coming up from Baltimore. He was making his way to Pennsylvania. He decided to pull in the sheets and shoot up, and he overdosed right there in the bathroom. So that was our one. Hampstead had 2, Sykesville had 0, Tawnytown had 1, Mount Airy had 1, and Westminster has 18. But that's about it. That's all we have for like crime and the overdose numbers and things of that nature. To go back on that 2008 Impala, again, if it's okay with the mayor and council, we've decided to have it towed from the police department. It'll go over to the career tech for them to experiment with it, maybe save it. It'll give them something to do. So we plan on having that towed over there tomorrow. And Top Notch Towing is gonna hook us up on that deal.
Good.
It's not safe to drive, and I don't
Yeah.
wanna sell it. I wouldn't feel comfortable selling it.
It's really more administrative. I don't think we need a motion. Anybody have an issue? All right.
That's about it.
All right, any questions for the chief?
Chief, we had that, I guess with the high south of town, I guess in Upperco, I think that was robbed just recently, late at night.
In Baltimore County?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any effect on?
No, I saw that they were, had some suspect information, but it was very vague.
Okay, and
Baltimore
that's something,
County
some
didn't
people are
give it.
concerned with, close here, so, something to keep an eye out for,
Yes.
so. But, nope, other than that, that's all I have.
Any questions for chief? All right, meeting the agenda. Spraying request by Mr. Marvin Coltrider. See here, this is, you wanna,
Sure.
brief?
As per our code, anyone that applies herbicides and pesticides next to town property has to notify the town. Mr. Cartwright has done that for the last many, many years. He's very vigilant. His people are certified sprayers, and we've never had an issue with Mr. Cartwright.
Yeah, as a reminder, this comes up every year. This does require a motion and approval, though. If somebody's willing to take that on.
I'll make a motion that we approve the spraying request by Mr. Marvin Coltrider.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mr. Elwin Wagner, Manchester Volunteer Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Elwin Wagner. I'm here as President of Manchester Volunteer Fire Department. And I come here tonight first to thank you all for the funds you have provided the fire department in past years. And secondly, to inform you of what we plan to use the funds for this year. And if you recall, last year, we used the funds to upgrade our security cameras at the activities building and at the fire station itself, as well as upgrading our phone system. Now, this year, we have a very special project I think you're gonna appreciate, because the town and the fire department had a mutual friend. You had a dedicated employee and we had a dedicated volunteer in our friend Gary Epley. So Gary had been pushing for a while now to get our rescue squad upgraded with LED lights. Not only our emergency lights, but the lights that illuminate the accident scenes and that whatnot. They're much brighter lights. You all know, I'm sure the police department knows how dangerous it can be at nighttime. So we would like to honor Gary's wishes and pursue this project. Now, along with our rescue squad, we would also like to do our duty truck, which is basically one of our old trucks that was converted from a brush truck to a duty truck. It has the old lighting on it, so we would like to be able to upgrade that as well. So both of those units would pretty much exhaust the funds that you provide the fire department.
Anybody have any questions or?
Yeah, any questions on that?
Do you have, and this is, I guess, just an administrative issue, do you have quotes or bids or something for?
Well, it comes right in around 30,000. The bulk of it is on the rescue squad, about 26,000. The rest of it would be the additional to 30,000. We had other quotes that were much higher than that. That was the lower one.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, like we were talking about before, like that seems like certainly a very worthy use of the funds, and I think we're happy to keep, participating and having that partnership together from our interest just as a public entity and from an audit perspective, and expecting increased scrutiny this year with federal funds coming in. We have to do a separate audit this year. We'd like to have just like some documentation back, say we did this. Here's specifically what it was for. This is what it went to meet. But I think we can work
We
on
have
that.
in the past.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question. So yeah, I think we can work together with that. Work together to put that in place. So yeah, I think we're still in budget season, but that's what we're planning to do. We appreciate you coming in to talk to us and explain.
Any help you can
what-
give, the
Yeah.
pandemic was really rough on the fire department. We haven't been able to have
We missed
carnivals.
2 carnivals, right?
We missed 2 carnivals. Now, we are planning this year to have a carnival, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be bigger and better this year, but the pandemic really hit us bad.
Yeah.
So we appreciate anything you do. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I think it sounds great. Thanks, Owen. Any other questions or comments? All right, very good. North Carroll Rec Council.
I have a couple of diagrams for you guys if you want to pass them around.
Thank you.
There's 5. How you guys doing? I'm Justin Otto. I'm the president of North Carroll Football, Colts, and Cheer. I've been with the program about 7 years now. I've been the president going on 4. So obviously last year, you guys are aware, we had an issue at our football game. So to bring football home games back to Christmas Tree Park for us, our league has requested to separate our sidelines. So what we are proposing, you can see the red box is roughly the outline of the existing field layout. We would like to shift that towards the baseball diamond to be able to give us space behind our bench. That is the key thing, to be able to separate the home and away fans. That's their new requirement, unless we're in some type of high school stadium like Hereford. And then obviously we would be relocating the goalposts, which is the main part to this. We would just be shifting it down to the center of the new field. I've highlighted a little area by second base right there in the cloud. We would just have to grade that out a little bit. I've already talked to baseball. They are okay with that. They're willing to help us with any dirt that they have extra as well. There's just a little hill as the dirt meets the grass. And then in the far right corner where the hill is, we would just have to regrade that, a very small portion of it, so that our field would stay the same length, and because the pylon actually would end up on the hill. This would probably be phase 1 of 2. I did not highlight the fence along the backside where the press box is. I think we're going to hold off on that. Some of my board members, we looked at it this weekend. They're afraid by the pole, the hill is too steep to have fans there. So we have taken into consideration shifting the field this way. It's roughly about 5 to 10 yards. So fans who want to be on the sidelines can. We are willing to put up about $2,000 for any materials that we have. We're looking to get volunteers. I know we have plenty of volunteers of parents that are in the construction field, similar to myself. Our league is willing to help us as well with getting equipment donated and everything like that. So we would fill in the existing holes that we have in the ground, similar to what we do every year. We have a cap, and then we just fill dirt over it to make it safe for baseball. For the new goalpost, we'd put a new sleeve in the ground. We'd bore a hole down 3 to 4 feet, put a concrete base, put the sleeve in, and then we would be pretty much the same situation you have out there.
So you're down. You haven't figured out exactly how many yards you would shift.
So we have to go back, but it's kind of right where the numbers would be in the normal layout. So it'd probably be about 10 yards. We're not too much into the baseball field.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
Well, I mean, I don't have a ton of. I mean, you guys are run it, whatever's gonna work for you and meet the requirements of the league and everything, I think. I mean, structurally, this doesn't change the town a whole lot.
No, not at all. It'll stay the same.
yeah.
Just a little bit regrading. And then the hillside, we'll regrade it so it's not like a cliff. It'll just be a little bit steeper in a small section.
Yeah.
But Kyle, he works for a landscaping company. He'll take care of that for us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certainly we just put a lot of, over the years, we put a lot of infrastructure and time to getting it close to where it is now, so it's good to find a way to keep going. It's unfortunate that, you know, incident happened, which got us to this point, but.
We have looked at using North Carroll High School. They only guarantee a year of the stadium use, and they would be charging us, which would take a major hit for ourselves. So we're trying to look at this option because it would be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, it's not like just one game. It's like
It's 6 games, and they ballparked at $50 an hour, and I'm normally here Saturdays for 12. So
Right.
that adds up very quickly.
Yep.
I think we're always willing to support, you know, your program. You know, what happened this past year was just, it was a black mark on our town. And, you know, I think some of this could help with the situation, but also some of the management of the situation as well. So what happened this past year can never happen again in this town.
Understood.
So, I mean, yeah, like I said, something like this, we're happy to support. I don't think there's any funds coming from the town to pay for this. But I just wanted to at least make that clear that, you know, that last year just cannot happen. So.
Yes. I'm here Saturday to set up, to clean up. So I'm here the entire day. I do not leave when we have home games for that reason. We had a person that came from out of town, and she stirred up some stuff. That actual program that was part of it is no longer with CCFL. They have withdrawn this year, so I do apologize for that.
This is a little bit unrelated, and I'm not involved anymore other than this kind of stuff, but the person that originally set those goalposts reached out to me and offered to help if you needed help with the drilling. I can connect with you offline and connect you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's an imperfect lot for sure, but it's kind of what the town has.
So when are you all anticipating
We would have
moving
to
forward
wait.
with this? Till after
We'd have
baseball,
to
I would
wait after
assume.
baseball, yes. It would probably be the middle of end of July when we do the swap of the fields. We wouldn't want to interfere with anything with their season. And that would give us roughly 4 to 6 weeks to do it. We're predicting maybe 2 or 3 days to get it all complete and ready for games. Our first game isn't until after Labor Day anyway, because the pool's still open, so it gives us a little bit extra time.
And baseball's in support, and they're
Yes,
fine.
yep, I've been talking to Matt, actually both Matts, they are in support of it. Even if we went with phase 2 with the fence, they're supporting it as well.
Well, thank you for your service and you know, for, you know, taking care of this for you know, our community and our kids. But, no, we're definitely, I think we're all in support, definitely.
Go for it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? All right, thanks, Justin. Manchester happenings. See, now my nose is all dry. And itchy.
Warm,
Yeah.
very warm in here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Melissa Rowe. I'm co-founder of Manchester Happenings, and I'm here tonight to let you know about the next event that we will be having for the town. On Saturday, April 9th, we will be having our Easter Egg Scramble, which is our Easter egg hunt. It will take place after the fire department's breakfast with the Easter Bunny, so be sure to go over there and get breakfast first. The hunt will be at Christmas Tree Park again. And if you remember, this was our infamous event that set off Manchester Happenings. We held it for the very first time in 2019. We believe it was very successful. Steve can attest to that. We had a line before the event even started, and we were just scrambling for help and everything. It was absolutely unbelievable, and that's just because of our amazing town and the support that we received. And then, of course, we weren't able to have the egg hunt in 2020 or 2021. So we are happy to be back. We did have our Fall Fest in the fall, and that was another success. So we believe that this one is going to be a success also. One thing different that you'll see this year is that the egg hunts are going to be on the football field, and we have arranged that with the football team. And that's just to better organize ourselves, spread out a little bit, have a little bit more room. But a lot of the activities that you'll see, our vendors, they'll still all be up at Christmas Tree Park. So you will also have the ability, to use the playgrounds and have fun in between the egg hunts and all the activities that we'll have going on. The egg hunt will be divided into 3 different age groups. That's to, again, keep it organized and keep the big kids from trampling the little ones, and age-appropriate toys and candy in the eggs as well. The Easter Bunny will arrive by fire truck to kick off the event, just like last time, and that's a big hit for the kids as well, so thank you to the fire department for doing that for us. And then another thing, one of the goals of Manchester Happenings was to make sure that we incorporate other organizations and entities within Manchester. So since we like to do these events for free for the community, we do ask that you bring a donation for a charity, and this year we are going to donate to the MCQE Mobile Pet Pantry. So if you could bring a donation pet related, that would be absolutely fantastic. We'll have a collection bin near our Manchester Happenings booth, so just come find us. We'll be down somewhere near the football field, where the egg hunts are actually going to be. We'll be set up down there with our bin. And as always, we rely on our vendors to be able to provide these events to you for free. We charge a fee to them so that we can purchase things to hold these events. So please support the vendors, go shop. Hopefully spend some money, and that way, they want to come back and they want to continue to support us. There'll also be some food and beverages this year. That was one of the things people wish that they saw more of in 2019. So, of course, go have your breakfast with the fire department first, and then come, enjoy some refreshments with us. We'll have things like snowballs and baked potatoes and popcorn. Some big activities that I did want to highlight, that we'll have some sand volleyball activities going on, and axe throwing is back by popular demand. It was a huge hit at our Fall Fest, and we are so happy that they're joining us again. They do charge, and I think it's like a couple bucks or something for like 5 axes, but it was a huge hit at the Fall Fest, so we're glad that they're going to be joining us again. We'll have raffles again. We rely on just the raffle money. It's something fun that people like to do, but it also raises some money for us to be able to continue to hold these events for us. So raffles will be available, and we also provide raffle tickets for returning your eggs. We need these eggs back so that we spend less money, on buying eggs every single year. So we do rely on getting those eggs back. So you will get a raffle ticket. And there's lots and lots of gift cards, again, provided by the amazing, businesses in our community that are providing these gift cards and prizes for you. So be sure to follow us on Facebook. We're Manchester-Maryland Happenings now. We had a lot of people from New Hampshire trying to come to our events, and as much as we would love them to come here, I think that's a little far to come. So anyway, we had to change our Facebook to Manchester-Maryland Happenings, but we're still Manchester Happenings. So mark your calendars for April 9th from 11 to 3, and come on out for some fun. Any questions?
Thanks, Melissa. One point of clarification, you mentioned the football program. I think the baseball program probably has the permit.
So, okay, we have checked with both.
Okay.
And, yep, the fields are free for our use that day.
Okay.
Yep.
And the rec council can probably direct you if there's, are you supposed to go through, who handles the scheduling now? Maria Artista at the high school. Yeah. But through the rec council, you may just want to make sure you double check with her. Yeah,
Yep.
just so she doesn't try to schedule anything going on there.
Okay,
But
all right.
I don't think
check
it'd
with
be-
baseball and football, but okay. I will check with her. Yep.
Any other questions for Melissa?
We're thrilled with the enthusiasm. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. We
Thank
love
you.
it. It's just what our town needs. So.
It's gonna be nice to have events back going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we would love to keep continuing to do more, it's just resources and time, so.
So we have the,
Well.
you may have heard, we have the Maryland Municipal League next Thursday. And so we'll advertise that there.
Okay.
Around the other towns. That's something that we kind of push at those things now, or what events are going on.
Right, okay, yeah, that would be absolutely great if you would do that, yeah. All right, thank you.
All right.
Yes, yeah, the eggs are down at the historical center, and we've been working with them. We've been going in when they're open and working on filling them. Yep. And again, another thing, we rely on our student volunteers a lot too. So, if they could help us get them loaded up, that's one of the things that we're asking for help for that day. But yeah, there's. Okay, we've been working with Belva, and she's been great, and she said she'll be there April 9th morning to let us in. So. Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Steve and Rodney, the bathrooms at the park will be reopened by then, correct? Okay. Okay, I think I remember y'all saying beginning of April, but I just want to make sure. Okay.
All right, questions, comments from the community? One person here signed up, so we'll start there. Mr. Tom Bolton. If you don't mind.
My name's Tom Bolton, and I'm here to just open a discussion. I know that there's a lot of questions about a building I purchased in town, so I'll start off with saying hello to those. I recognize some faces. I hope they still recognize me. And so my name's Tom Bolton. I grew up on a tobacco farm. I have a BA in biochemistry. And then I went back to pharmacy school and became a pharmacist. I've been compounding pharmacist for 30 years, and what I do is I take things that, like for a baby that can't be swallowed, I take an adult dose and I crush it and formulate it using techniques, and then I create a product that the baby can take. So I've been working in the community for 20 plus years. Actually, I've been in Carroll County for 30 plus years, living here. So I own and operate Carroll Drugs of Manchester, which many of you may be aware of. I've been taking master classes at the University of Maryland in cannabis science and therapeutics. I took about a year's worth of classes there. I originally had applied for a dispensary license for the Medical Cannabis Commission in Maryland. I did not receive that license. I had a 247-page application. I wrote it myself. I refused all political help from both sides of the aisle I was offered. I did not get that license, and I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason. So a few years later, out came the hemp pilot program in the state of Maryland. A couple years after that, President Trump signed into law the 2018 Farm Bill, which included the legalization of cannabis as long as it was a certain level of THC. THC is a part of cannabis that causes euphoria, that gets you high, okay? The interest that I have in the plant is a product called CBD for short. It's actually cannabidiol. So I study the effects that it has with, as an anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety. It's got actually 7 known therapeutic uses. And I won't go into those things, but because I grew up on a tobacco farm and because I was a formulating pharmacist, it gave me a unique opportunity to be able to be on the ground level of developing products that would be beneficial for the medical field. The name of my company is Mid-Atlantic Hemp Company, and my brand is called American Medical Hemp. So I know there's probably a couple questions out there right off the bat, like, you know, why is he telling us all this? So I have purchased, first off, I own the building, the pharmacy building. I also own 3204 Main Street and 3208 Main Street. That's Deb Stiles and H&R Block. I'm not sure if you guys saw those buildings prior. Those were renovated in 1999 to 2000. I think I made a little bit of an improvement on the town for that area right there. And then I've continued with purchasing the building back from CVS and getting that up and running as a community pharmacy. That's my number one love, and I just want to make sure everyone's clear about that. I am a pharmacist first and foremost. My calling to duty is to help the community, and that is my goal with the hemp company also. I've found that there's a lot of medical use for it. Chief Hess, you were talking about overdoses tonight. There's a lot of reasons why they would go up and down, but what I'm hoping to see, and there's a lot of studies going on right now about the use of cannabis to get people off of opiates. Now, I could go into biochemical reactions. It will tell you why you can get off opiates by using cannabis, but I won't bore you guys with the details. Just know that there are over 2,000 studies going on right now by using cannabis and the parts thereof. Now, an important thing about what I'm going to talk about is the only legal way to use that cannabis plant in the state of Maryland and the federal government. And I mention the federal government because I hold a drug enforcement agency license to operate that pharmacy, and I in no way would jeopardize that. There are some people in the hemp industry that have jeopardized that, and I believe Chief Hess had mentioned what are called cannabinoidmimetics, and those are molecules that are designed to imitate a cannabinoid. A cannabinoid comes from the cannabis plant. So CBD comes from the cannabis plant. THC comes from the cannabis plants. There's actually 119 different cannabinoids. If you have a product that you design, these designer drugs, and it looks like THC, but it's not, and it goes into these receptors, they have different kind of effects. As many of you may know, the council passed rules to make cannabinoidmimetics illegal in this town, I believe. And those were the people that were selling a product called Spice. And Spice is nothing like THC. One of my professors is one of the people that worked with the federal government to identify those cannabinoidmimetics and explain why and to make them illegal. That being said, hemp currently is not even on a schedule with the Schedule 1. It's now exempt from Schedule 1. If you read the September of 2020 updates, it exempts cannabis as long as the THC content is less than 0.3%. So when the law was passed and during the hemp pilot program and over the last 3 years, what the Department of Agriculture wanted us to do is to see if we could take the plant, number one, grow it effectively and not have disease in it, which in Maryland there was a big question. Number two, could we extract it at an economical rate to be able to utilize some of those components of the cannabis plant? So that's the part that I was involved in. I actually sat on the National Institutes for Agricultural Research, and my part in the program was to make these products labeled correctly and appropriately so that practitioners such as myself or say a neurologist would be able to look at it and then dose a patient accordingly. You know, so for instance, I now know, and I didn't know this 3 years ago, that you only need 10 milligrams of CBD to help anxiety. But you need about 50 to 100 milligrams for an anti-inflammatory effect. I used to take 12 ibuprofen every day. I used to run cross country. I don't anymore. But I take CBD, and I only take it once a day, and I take no ibuprofen anymore. So there's a huge amount of benefit from that. So I've got a product line, and anyone can look it up. It's AmericanMedicalHemp.com. Those products, and I have some examples here. If somebody wants to take some out and pass them around, they're more than welcome to. I brought with me flour that was grown in the fields right here in Carroll County. I brought creams, and I brought some oils, just so you can look at the product. And the reason why I want you guys to see it is this is not what they sell at Sunoco in Westminster. It is not gas station CBD. This is a professional labeled, and from what I hope that I get a proprietary patent on a couple of these formulas to help me move along and to create a much more productive company. As of right now, the reason why I'm talking to you about this 3201 Main Street is currently I've been mixing creams in the pharmacy, and I need to segregate that from that pharmacy building just because I did most of this formulation during pandemic, during the shutdown. So instead of having a 5,000 square foot building and then letting one person in at a time, I decided to utilize the back, set up a small lab area, and start to come up with some formulas that would be useful for the medical field. So now I'm at the point where the pandemic's over. I also had set up a vaccination area. So I want to expand the pharmacy back to a full pharmacy. If anyone's been in my pharmacy, they also know that a third of the front of the area is records. And that was just a hobby of mine that built up one day. I went to a yard sale and I set the rest of the records that I didn't want on the chair because I was late, and suddenly by the end of the week the records were all gone. So I thought, wow, maybe I'll start to sell these records. That business has grown during the pandemic because people are now interested in not, if they're staying at home, they're going to listen to some records. Kids have really attached to it. They love the old vinyl stuff. I know for a lot of us my age, we might think, oh, geez, nobody wants to listen to a scratchy record. But there are those people. So I have this business that I needed to segregate out. And what I decided to do was take the hemp and CBD products as well as the records, and I also sell used audio equipment, and move them over to the number 1 North building, which is 3201 North Main Street, or Main Street. So, let's see, do I have anything else to tell you guys about that? So, some people have some questions about hemp and marijuana. What's the difference and what's the deal? So, hemp is just the government term for legal cannabis. Marijuana is a term for illegal cannabis. My business and the brand name is American Medical Hemp. I deal with legal cannabis. I hold a drug enforcement agency license. I in no way want to jeopardize that license, which is really my bread and butter at this point, and throw it away by selling illegal marijuana. There were also some other questions about, hey, isn't this guy within 1,000 yards of a school? I think it is within 1,000 yards of a school, or 1,000 feet of a school. I don't intend to grow cannabis in that building. My purpose for that building is to have a record store in the front, a mercantile business, a record store where I sell some of those products. I will be applying to the county for some modifications to the building so that I can safely do production work. So in other words, when I make creams for the pharmacy, I might take a little pile of this cream and that cream and mix them together. For this, I take a huge mixer that you might see in a restaurant business, and we mix it together, and then we take them to a third party and make sure everything is mixed correctly, and run a compliant, with good manufacturing practices. I cannot effectively do that in the building the way it is currently in the back. So the front 3,600 square foot has been, I redid the floors, I painted it, and that's going to be a retail area. That's phase one for me to open that building up. In fact, I already got the trader's license for that section. Phase two for me is to do some work in the back where the bathroom is so that I can offer a handicapped person a bathroom that is up to code. It got grandfathered in the way it is, but honestly, I wouldn't let anyone use that bathroom at this point. So that's the first thing that I have to do is upgrade that. Along with that time, surprisingly, I found out that the cooler that was currently used is also, with a small modification, going to be a 9001 compliant area for me to do small manufacturing, which is something that I would like to do. Manufacturing means if I mix CBD oil into a cream, that's manufacturing. And then I would have a little hopper that I'll put it into a bottle. So I wanted to make sure that was clarified on what those things are. There are some questions. I have not read over business local code, and I'm not really familiar with it. I do know other business local people that do manufacturing in their businesses locally. So I would just want to make sure if there are any issues before I spend the money to get into that phase, or if someone from the council had a question about it, that I would be able to address those concerns with you.
So to your point there, I almost see this as two different things. Whether, certainly anyone on the council or staff could ask a question. You presented a lot of information. Thank you for coming in and being so, I guess, forthcoming with some of the details around what you're doing, what you plan to do, and those sort of things. I see almost like the business or use of something zone BL or use of a building or changing the use of a building versus specifics or questions from the council around the kind of material that you were presenting is two separate things. So we can attack those separately. I don't know if it makes sense to maybe ask questions first, then we can talk process second.
Well, Tom, first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming in and coming before us. Sure. I think it means a lot to the town itself. I mean, that building is our square. It really is. So we're thrilled that another local businessman has stepped up to the plate and purchased that. As I'm sure you're aware, there's a lot of apprehension in the community. There's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions as well. I found that the best way to attack these types of situations is open and be honest with the community. And, the community will accept I feel, would accept a well-run, nice facility and a legal business in the state of Maryland.
Right.
So, that's the only thing that I ask is to keep us abreast of your plans, and so we can definitely communicate with the community. So,
I do have a campaign. It's semi-national on education of people about all the different facets of it, and I will make it. It's public. It's part of the TikTok domain. And I also am going to be sponsoring many things coming up. Part of that sponsorship is to get that. I know that the cannabis leaf is offensive to some people, okay? An important thing to know is this has been used as a medicine since 3000 BC. In the Ming Dynasty, they had it in their pharmacopoeia, which is an encyclopedia on their medicine. If you go back to Ireland in the 1800s, it was an embarrassment if a housewife didn't have it in her cupboard. It was used for 110 different therapeutic uses, approved by the AMA in 1936. It became prohibited in 1937 through a lot of misinformation. I'm not here to attack anyone from the misinformation, but I want to make sure people understand that, one, I'm an open person. I'm ready. I can talk to you about this stuff for hours and hours. And in fact, most people are very bored when I start talking about it at the pharmacy. They walk away. They're like, oh, no. However, I get, on a daily basis, I get referrals from neurologists, naturopathic physicians, Johns Hopkins. I have brought back feeling to a man in his feet. Now, these are off the creams that I do. Keep in mind, this isn't me selling them something to smoke and them going home and go, oh, I can feel my feet again. That's not what it is. It's actually, it's being studied. First of all, I probably should have told you, I did research for University of Maryland, have a couple papers under my belt for ophthalmology research. My proposed master's program was using getting a water-soluble form of CBD as a drop to help with cataracts, because it's such a great antioxidant. So yes, I want to make sure that people understand me, that's why I'm here, that they know that I'm open, and that I'm aware of what will now be the counterculture, because this is a legal product. It's under the Department of Agriculture of the state of Maryland. Basically, if somebody, now what this is if I grew corn and took the top part of the corn cob off and sold it, now you can grow cannabis in that same field and take that cannabis flower off it and sell it. It's totally legal. Now, there are some things that I do that I also will offer to you, is that it became law, federal law, in December of 2018. Because of the shutdown of the government, not from the COVID, but as you recall, there was a shutdown for the budget. The federal government's responsibility first is assign it to a department. It got assigned to the United States Department of Agriculture. Then that department then writes regulations or proposes regulations and puts it in the Federal Register. Then as the business people respond to the Federal Register, which they have 3 months or 6 months or 90 days to respond, then it gets approved, and then we now have federal regulations. At that point, it goes to the state, right? Now, in that time, we had the COVID shutdown, so it didn't get to the state for 2 years. Eventually, it's going to come to local municipalities so that they can write regulations. In theory, I can walk onto an elevator and light a cannabis cigarette because it's not a burning tobacco product, right? I'm not vaping it. So regulations will need to go into effect. In fact, I talked to the mayor of Westminster, because I do some performances there, about getting with them and helping them with some of those regulations. And I'm more than happy. You need somebody that has read that law back and forth and will be able to tweak a regulation. So I'm more than happy to help out the town with anything in regards to regulations that might come along to hemp.
So in terms of process, again, I mean, appreciate the detailed information on a lot of different topics around hemp and associated products. From a process standpoint, with the building, it's almost like, well, assuming, everything here is a legal business, a lot of legal businesses, where are you in terms of, it's been a while since I've really done this. Is this something that would go to planning and zoning? Are we changing a use? Are we moving a building?
It appears that, it is a change of use. I mean, it's a liquor store, it appears that, he'll be selling mercantile, similar to the liquor store, but then what falls into play is manufacturing.
Right, so
That changes things up.
and I can maybe clarify it. I did talk to zoning, and I talked to inspection, and as they said, as long as I'm mercantile to mercantile, then there's no problem. I had to get in and get a trader's license and sell a product before March 3rd. That's when the liquor store left. That's the front area of the store. The rear area of the store is not being used for anything at this point. I will not apply for that change of use until I go through with getting permits to do the upgrades that are necessary for me to be able to do those things safely. That's my number one thing. The last thing I want to do is spend all this time and money on getting a business up and running, and then end up in a building and not be able to manufacture with good manufacturing product.
That's kind of where I was going with this, and
Yeah.
not as official advice, but
Right.
to
I know that that's my next step, and I know at that point I may need to change use on that section of the building.
So, in terms of, you said zoning and inspection, is it town or county? Was it through
The county.
county zoning and, okay.
I spoke specifically with Tom Harris, and said, look, do I need to do anything before I open up? And he said, as long as you have a 3-foot section for, handicap access. So when I reopened the pharmacy over there, I had to do the 15% of the construction had to be towards handicap. When I do that construction in the back and the approval, and of course all of this is going to have to depend on one. I'm going to have to make another presentation to you so that you understand what the manufacturing is. Like, if I take a T-shirt and put an embroidery on it, I'm manufacturing a new product. That's a manufacturing of something. So, because you probably don't understand and have ever seen somebody manufacture a cream or an oil or do an extraction, then I'll need to, educate you a little bit on that and make sure that what I propose is safe. And then once I get your blessing, I'll apply and spend the money for the engineer and the architect, and then have that area change of use. It's a very small area that would be involved with.
At the risk of providing actual advice, I would say, I would encourage you to have a discussion sooner rather than later with, if you've talked to the county, with town planning and zoning, just to understand any additional regulations or rules here in town that may be different, again, before you kind of get out, ahead of your skis.
Right. Trust me, people that know me know how meticulous I am with getting it done, but they know that it never gets done when I think it's going to get done. So even though I say I'm going to get this done within a month, I'm sure that I'm not going to get to that next phase probably for 6 months. I like to think it through and make sure it's done correctly.
Okay, then we have another question.
Yep, as you were sharing, one of the things that you said was that the building was grandfathered, and I just need a clarification on that. I understand the building is very old.
Right.
And that it is previously not up to ADA standards and things, and that you're going to work on some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have some regulations in place, and I'm not the planning and zoning person, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but regards to dedicated parking spots,
Right.
that building is kind of landlocked,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better word, because
Right.
the fire department owns, I believe, up to the wall, or if not part of the wall, maybe, in the back at least. There's maybe 2 parking spots out front.
Correct.
I'm just thinking parking for employees. ventilation and sprinklers, is that building going to be able to support changes to bring it up to a more current level of code in regards to if it's grandfathered? I understand there's different regulations, but I know sometimes in some situations, if a building is a business or something is grandfathered, if it changes ownership, it can change the ability to be grandfathered.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Like-
kind of what I was getting at.
Like,
too,
I
was
don't know the right way to
thi-
ask
This
it.
group can't give you an answer on,
Right.
on continuation of a grandfathering of a rule or ADA, like that's not what we do.
Right, I checked with that, but really, the reason why I gave that you extra information, the reason why I was here is so that you would understand the business and know that Tom Bolton's not putting in a drug dispensary or one of the illegal marijuana dispensaries. I am a black and white person. I see no gray areas. I guess somebody's mic is, the battery's going low. I also do audio visual
Could be
stuff.
yours, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It's a ghost.
So, yeah, we probably should move along, but I think, you know, and again, we appreciate it, two separate things, right? Some clarification on what you're doing, and then I would say sooner rather than later to get.
And know that I am wide open for anyone that has questions. They can call me at the pharmacy.
I have a question. You keep referring to you're selling legal hemp, not illegal.
Well,
You
hemp
do-
by definition is legal.
Okay, but
It's
you
federally
do
legal.
know that there's a bill in Annapolis that people will vote on to legalize marijuana to legalize it in Maryland.
Correct, the referendum of House Bill 1. is
Right.
what you're referring
So
to.
are you planning on, when that becomes legal, if and when it becomes legal, you're gonna sell it, you plan on applying for a dispensary, or, I'm asking for your future plans.
Right now, my plans are to get this up and running and profitable. My biggest goal, or my goal for this company was to launch a national brand, hence my logo. It's got the American flag, to be all-inclusive and to be a national brand, not just a local or Maryland.
Do you sell it to other places? I mean, I know
I
there's,
do, yes.
I know there's just a couple CBD places in Hampstead,
Correct.
and the one is connected to the one in Ocean City.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, do you sell it to other companies
Right.
to sell?
I do. I have kind of alienated myself from places that sell Delta 8. Chief has Delta 8, in my opinion, even though it's from the plant, the Delta 8 that they're selling, when you guys see these Delta 8 signs, illegal. It's illegal. I went before the Maryland Hemp Association, and I flat out told them, look, you can read the word specifically, because the way they make their Delta 8 is they chemically modify CBD to make Delta 8, which causes euphoria, not like Delta 9 does, not like THC does. So, but it would be more, in what I would consider considered a cannabinoid medicine. It's not really a cannabinoid.
That could be why some nurses are testing positive for marijuana. I know some nurses that have tested for drug testing positive from using the CBD, so maybe that's what they're using.
Well, actually, 9% of the population has an enzyme that will convert inside their own body the CBD to Delta-9 THC. That's something I found out about 3 weeks ago in class. We're learning so much right now, and the reason why we're learning so much now is now it's legal. Universities can get federal funding. There would have never been a cannabis science and therapeutics class 15 years ago because it wasn't legal, so they couldn't get federal funding for it, or you couldn't get a federal student loan to go take that class. Now that we have that, there's a plethora of NIH studies and things that you wouldn't believe, like cirrhosis of the liver, the reversal of cirrhosis of the liver. And I've seen it in some patients. So you will,
I mean, I hate to go on those tangents, but we'll learn more about those people, why they test positive. The other thing is, if you go and buy gas station CBD, and it's not manufactured by a pharmaceutical person that is a biochemist and knows what they're doing, and starting with a product that could be tainted to start with, then your end product is going to be tainted, right? So what I want to do, what I want to become is America's most trusted source for CBD products or for hemp products.
Okay.
All right.
Any final questions? Thanks, Mr. Bolton.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you again. That's okay.
Yeah, apologize for the technical snafus here. We had two people sign up. They both have spoken. Is there anybody else from the community that would like to say anything and didn't get a chance to sign up? Come on up, Dwayne. Saw you sneak in at the end there.
Hi, everybody. I'm here to speak on Mr. Bolton's behalf. I missed the first part of his presentation, but I do want to say that he's been very helpful to the community. I know Mayor Warner and I think Mr. Cuneo, you guys have been with some of the rec programs, and I know I've been in there, and he's scratched out quite a few checks for me for donations. So I think, from a monetary standpoint, he's good for the community, and if he's manufacturing product and selling all over the country, I think that'll also help the tax base as well. So I don't know what the outcome is, but I don't see any downside to it personally. I don't use his products. I drive a school bus, so I don't know how it's going to show up. Sometimes they say, like he says, it can do whatever, but I don't use them. But I think that Tom's good for the community.
All right. Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it. Anybody else from the community have anything else? All right, move on to committee reports. Councilman Cuneo.
Yeah, the Planning and Zoning Committee met on February 15th, at which point we gave a conditional approval to the new Premier Dental sign on Route 30, so they'll be replacing that sign shortly. I think we were waiting on an additional photo survey, which I believe was completed. Don't have the results yet, but our upcoming meeting, we'll be reviewing all the outstanding items on the Maverick Solar project, so seeing where that's headed. And as Steve mentioned earlier, we have a separate meeting on Equine Meadows as far as the stormwater management system. That's it.
Yes, we were told today the traffic study for Lippy Old Town should be completed sometime over the next several weeks.
Okay.
Some busy times.
Yep.
Councilwoman Miller.
All right, so we are on board and ready for MML next week. We're excited to be back hosting all of the counties on the 17th at the Activities Building. It's usually a pretty good turnout, and it sounds like it might be a little bit smaller this year, but it's still a good amount of people. And also, if you are a fourth grader, don't forget that the If I Were Mayor contest is still going on. There's time to join into that. It is all done electronically this year, as opposed to paper. And there's an electronic application or a document that your teacher has to submit as well.
Okay. Do we get that to Ev Valley? I didn't say anything. I didn't talk to them.
I have not, no.
I'll check and make sure that they have the stuff. Yeah, hopefully we get back to being able to be in the schools next year. So.
I mean, I'm fourth grade this year, so I'm fortunate enough to be able to talk to my students,
yeah.
but my students are not Manchester students.
Right.
So.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Councilman Shelley.
The North Carroll Business Alliance is now a recognized 501c3 nonprofit organization under the Community Foundation of Carroll County. The next meeting is March 17th, 12:30 at Spargo's. Nothing else to report.
Councilwoman Howe.
We didn't have a meeting this month, but there are a few activities coming up. The second Sunday hike from 1 to 3 p.m. at Charlotte's Quest, that happens every month. And then for members only, April the 9th is the Easter egg hunt from 11 to 1.
Competing Easter egg hunts.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Councilman Richardson.
We're in the middle of the General Assembly session right now. There's no bills on either the House or the Senate that directly affect the town of Manchester. There's some bills that, you know, indirectly affect. Actually have a legislative briefing here in about 10 minutes to go over a few things. But a crossover day is on the 21st. The session, I believe, ends on the April, I don't have the date in front of me. I think it's April 11th. So other than that, there's nothing else to report.
See if we can get you out of here in 10 minutes. So.
I'm trying.
All right.
Trying.
Anything else for this group before we adjourn?
One last question. Have we given any thought to National Night Out and whether or not we'll be bringing that back again this year?
Back, we applied and we're good to go.
Okay, excellent. I know we've missed it the last couple days, and I know it's a huge event for our town, so.
That's August, beginning of August? Is that
Yes,
when
the
it
end
is?
of August.
End of August.
End or first? I thought it was the first Tuesday.
Yeah. I thought it
Oh,
was beginning.
sorry, I'm sorry.
First Tuesday.
The end of August is my last day of work, so.
All right, a couple reminders. Again, we talked about MML next Thursday. If you have not replied and you're able to join, 6:30 over there, please let us know. Budget work session here in person, March 23rd at 7 p.m. Does that still work for everybody? I'm out of town. We'll handle it. Next council meeting, April 12th, and I do want to point out again, MML, summer MML, with two, again, it's been Councilwoman Howe and I the past couple of years. If you can make it, it's a different week. It does go on top of our council week, so I would like to push this meeting. It's the fourth Wednesday, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would like to reschedule the second Tuesday to our alternate meeting of June 22nd for that month. And then if you can make it, I think we're still in the registration period. I didn't register yet, but if any of you are able to make it to June MML, you know, there's some good stuff there. Last year was better than the previous year, for sure. That's not. Being optimistic here. All right, anything else before we adjourn? We have a motion? Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good night.